Everyone, I am in love with Final Fantasy 16, but much like everything, because I'm enjoying it and loving it so much, I'm already thinking about the end. That's probably relationship issues, but whatever. It made me think about all the games that I've played that I've loved before that have really good stories and what I'd recommend, because after this finishes, I'm going to be so sad and it's got a grip on me like Prosecco on a sixth date.
Ma'am, this is a Wendy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was thinking about what top five games I would recommend to people that love a good story and like some, action. So here's my top five games to play after Final Fantasy 16.
Wait, hold that. It's Kasi Boom Bossy.
So one of my top ones is 2K's Tales from the Borderlands, the Telltale story. Such a good game. Picture this, it's basically a graphic adventure game that's like a hilarious roller coaster ride through the Borderlands universe. But you have like these really fun characters, and these are relationships that you get caught up in. You've got Reese, like the suave Hyperion employee, and Fiona, the sly like Pandorian con artist. They're on a treasure hunt for a vault key, and let me tell you, it's like basically one wild ride. Gameplay wise, it's great for some interactive comedy. You're making like fast choices, so it's not action in the way like Final Fantasy's like sick combat, but you are doing like quick time, a bit like if you've played any kind of Telltale games before, and you just have to make sure you've got those QTRs. I'm obviously very panicky whenever I play these games, but I think they've got a really good like way that they've done that. But it's not a button mashing fest. It's all about engaging with a side splitting story that unfolds like a good comedy blockbuster. And one of my favourite things about this game is the soundtrack. I absolutely love this song, James Blake's like Retrograde. It's one of my favourite songs ever. And I don't think I've ever heard it in like anything, maybe in like a show or something. And they have it in one of the best scenes. Ugh, the timing of the scene, the music, it's so cinematic, and I think that's what pushed it to be one of my top games ever. So, yeah. Next thing that I would recommend to play is a sneaky one. I was not expecting to love Last Stop as much as I did. I don't even know how I found it. I actually think one of my friends was playing it, and I saw like some of the story, and I was like, I don't want to watch too much of this because the story looks absolutely insane, but really fun. So it's like watching a friend play it, and it was just very drama addictive. Now, Last Stop is a narrative driven adventure. It's developed by Variable State. It's very London, actually. I feel like it's got a good capture of like London vibes and just like all of the different characters, and then walking around in some places they feel like so familiar. And I love that when you get in the game, you're like, I know what this is. I don't know exactly where it is, but I know the feel of it. So I kind of like that about it. It's very hectic, it's very twisty. In Last Stop you play as three different characters, each with their own like unique storylines, and honestly the story is so good. I don't want to spoil anything for you, so I'm going to try not to do too much. I did do another review of Last Stop, which you can find like here. But if you want to play it and you don't want spoilers, I would recommend like doing it. I highly recommend it. It's a very surreal mystery, and wherever I think it's going, that's not where it's going. So it's just great, and also the voice acting is top tier. Not only were there actually like laugh out loud moments, but the game is also visually stunning. Talking about visually stunning games, Detroit Become Human. I feel like this is always going to be on the top list of like story games for everyone, and it's still consistent, and I'm not taking it off because of that, because Detroit Become Human is a great game. I still love it now. I had left it for enough time that I would go back to it and make different choices just to see how the story goes with it, because it would give you a whole different type of game. I still feel that the graphics of the game look amazing, and I've watched people play it like 3 times, and each time it's gone different ways. I love it. Decisions have actual consequences. We shape the world and determine what happens, but honestly, you can't even predict half of the mess. Like I said, Jesse Williams. Sorry, my bad. I'm sorry.
People behind.
It's too late. If we stay here, we're gonna get shot. North, our people need us alive. There's nothing else we can do.
Marcus!
Jesse Williams plays Marcus and is one of my favourite characters, but that's because my decisions made him that way, to be fair. I made you the man that you are. honestly, the choices I made with like Kara had profound consequences and changed the whole shape of the game. There's so much that happens. And whilst it's not linear, we're basically playing around with like Siri and Alexa's family. Girl, don't even. Seeing what happens when AI and androids are all one and living in the same community. And obviously, you know that throws us in the trope of humans rebelling against that. Think being human, or pretty much with any show with AI, but I think the way that they've done this is so fun, so good, and I was really, I was enraptured with it. Talking about androids, NieR Automata, and I really hope that I'm saying it right. It's an action role playing game developed by Platinum Games and published by Square Enix, and it's basically set in a palette post. I can never say this. So I'm gonna come right in here to say this. Why am I looking at you like that? Post-apocalyptic Earth, and the game follows the story of androids 2B, 9S, and A2 as they battle against like machine invaders in a war for humanity's survival. So similar kind of vibes to Detroit, but in a very different way. It feels a lot darker. I would say this game stressed me out because I didn't realize that if you die at like, there's like certain things that happen in like battles, and if you die within that time, you have to start again from the beginning. I don't want to tell you how long it took, but just know that I was streaming and I was fuming because they could see that I couldn't get out of it because I was like, I can't quit in front of everyone, but I was mad, but it was very satisfying. So if we're talking about like combat that's kind of similar to Final Fantasy, that looks really beautiful, cinematic, and is actual, not like just linear, and just like tapping a few buttons, NieR Automata does that quite well. Additionally, the story's sick. Story's really good. You've got like fierce and stylish 2B, the main like android protagonist. She's all about like slaying machines and looking good whilst doing it. And 9S, who's like this hacker android who brings brains, and it's just like a really good thing where you're going through a story with them, and the character development is fire and voice acting is fire. It just makes you feel like every single emotion. So yes, 100% for that. God of War Ragnarok. God of War Ragnarok is basically just a horny, beautiful game. Kratos is delicious, like everything. I don't even want to spoil it. If you haven't played the first one, like God of War, I would say to play it. Ragnarok is such a fun game, but the story had me gripped in immediately. It's just fun. It's just fun. The combat is great as well. Again, if you like the combat element of Final Fantasy as well, it's key because obviously you're playing these fights that quite tough, you know, and when you do win, it's very satisfying. I had to do a cosplay from it because I just loved it so much. It's just a really fun game with a really good voice acting as well. I'm trying not to say too much about it because I don't want you lot to get spoilers. And if you haven't played it, if you have played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It delivers on everything. I don't think it's overrated at all. It got lots of love through the Games Awards like in 2022 and 2023. And I feel like that was well deserved. Not only did they focus on sick story and graphic, but also just the emotions that it builds, the music, the way that they've like focused on you being fully caught up in it. So yes, for God of War Ragnarok as well. If you haven't played God of War, then I would say do that as well, because you could just jump into it, but I think you need to have the background for it. Just God tier level of greatness. So yeah, if there's these are just some of the games that I was recommending to the community after playing. I love a story rich game. I'm already like, what do I want to play next? Obviously I've played these. I'm going to finish. I'm definitely going to jump into like a few others, maybe like Spider-Man, and be able to do like fuller reviews for that. But yes, I think we all love games and we all have recommendations. So I'd love to hear what you think would be good. See you around, and if you're playing Final Fantasy, let me know what you think.